Hello, my name is Radhakrishna. I am working as senior lecturer in chemistry at GPT, Kadwal. Today, let us try to learn different types of air pollutants, the gas, which are gases, pollutants, and aerosols. Okay. Before going for this lecture, let's try to recollect what we have learned in the last class. Okay. Let's try to recapitulate whatever we have learned in the last class. First of all, what is a pollutant? We have defined what a pollutant is. A pollutant is any substance that is released excessively, in excess of normally occurring percentage. Okay, in far excess of normally occurring percentage. So, a pollutant is a substance that is released into the atmosphere far in excess of its normal occurring percentage, and it causes harmful effects on the living beings, or it causes harmful effects, okay, or spoils the toxic effect, it exerts toxic effects on the human beings, plants, animals, and other life forms. So also damages the property. So a pollutant is any substance that is released into the environment, okay, in excess, and which causes harmful effects on the life forms and their property. Okay. What is air pollution? Air pollution is the releasing of excessive substances into air. Okay, release of unwanted substance in excessive concentration, unwanted substances, okay, which are not proper, unwanted substances into the air in excess of the normally occurring percentage, which causes harmful effects or which adversely affects the living beings, like human beings as our property, animals, and plants. So air pollution is may be defined as the excessive release of unwanted substance into the air that adversely affects human beings, plants, animals, and other their property. Okay, adversely affect means adversely and means causes toxic effects or negatively affects. Okay, so, and in the last class, not only have we defined these pollutants, we have also discussed the natural causes and man-made causes of air pollution. Okay, what are the natural causes of air pollution? Natural causes of air pollution, there are many. A few can be expressed as the eruption of volcanoes, volcanoic eruption. Volcanoes erupt, causing whenever volcanoes erupt, they release enormous quantities of ash, other gases like oxides of sulfur, oxides of other chemicals, as well as hot magma, which is called as lava. Okay, the ash blocks the sun rays, and for many months together, or sometimes it may even extend to a few years also. So it keeps on spewing all this, and it causes enormous damage to the surroundings. Okay, explosion of volcano causes enormous damage to the surrounding environment. Next is forest fires. These forest fires destroy many. See, they cause untold damage to the forests. Already forests area is very fast, decreasing very fast because of human intervention, and the wildlife which exists in the forest, they they are unable to find alternative source of shelter. Okay, it is causing man animal conflict and leading to the destruction of animals and wildlife, and not only wildlife, precious forest cover is also being damaged because of this forest fires or wildfires, and it's very difficult to control these forest fires. Even governments attempt even spraying of water and fire extinguishers from the air through from the planes or helicopters, but still they are proven to be grossly inadequate to control these forest fires. Pollen grains are also released into the environment. Okay, these pollen grains, though essential for the propagation of plants, okay, when they are inhaled, they cause respiratory tract irritation and pulmonary problems. Okay, so these are some of the natural causes of air pollution. Okay, there are several man-made causes of air pollution. Several, not just one or two. There are several man-made causes. First and foremost among these is population explosion, human population explosion, not any other species, but only humans. Human population is galloping, it's increasing by leaps and bounds. There is no control at all on the increase of human population. In our own, take our own India, every year we are adding population equal to the population of Australia to Indian population. What about the facilities? Is land area increasing? No. Is the production increasing? No. Production has to increase to meet, to cater to the increasing population. For this, we are destroying all the forests, and increasing population is exerting pressure on all the resources. Okay, so unless we control the population, rapid increase in the human population, all the developmental goals, all the development, everything comes to a naught. Nothing helps. Okay, unless explosion of human population is taken care of, because the ever increasing human population is a root cause of all the malaise that environment is suffering from. Okay, this is a root cause which is causing all the environmental problems. Next comes man-made causes, industrial pollution. Okay, industrial pollution. Say for our development, we establish industries to meet our increased standard of living, to sustain our style of living. See, we are not part of nature. We have got our own niche. We live in our own world apart from nature. We are trying to control nature. Okay, all the things. An animal depends on nature. It takes whatever it gets from the nature and gives back to the nature. Whereas we human beings, we do control the nature. Okay, so for this we have to have lots of industries established to cater to our artificial needs, to sustain our artificial lifestyle. Okay, so industries are established. These industries release enormous quantities of pollutants. They release into the air in the form of industrial emissions. The smoke emanated by these industries contain lots of chemicals, lots of pollutants like unburnt hydrocarbons, polycyclic hydrocarbons, okay, then carbon dust, apart from other gaseous chemicals. All these are released into the atmosphere through into the air or atmosphere through the industrial emissions, gaseous emissions. They cause enormous pollution. Okay, enormous pollution they cause. So industrial pollution is one of the main causes of air pollution. Okay, it's very difficult to actually. Industries have to set up treatment plants not only for gaseous emissions but also for liquid emissions like liquid effluents. But in many areas, many countries, they don't establish that. Okay, because they are unviable, economically unviable. They increase the cost of production, so they don't do that. They keep on spoiling the environment. You go to any city, in the night sky you cannot see stars clearly because of polluted atmosphere in the city. Okay, in the rural area you can easily see night sky, you can see the stars, different constellations, etc., formations of stars. But in the city it is difficult to come across, see them, because air is heavily polluted. Okay. Next is vehicular emissions. In many cities, for our transport we depend mainly on the vehicles. Okay, either personal mode of transport by bikes or cars, or public transport by buses, lorries, jeeps, and autos, other vehicles. Okay, we depend on them. All these vehicles they use internal combustion engines. Okay, internal combustion engines, they burn fossil fuels like petrol, diesel, natural gas, etc. The emissions from these vehicles, okay, they contain lots of oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, oxides of phosphorus, unburnt hydrocarbons. Okay, unburnt hydrocarbons are also there. Previously, companies, oil marketing companies like HP, IOC, BPCL, they used to add tetraethyl lead. They used to add tetraethyl lead to improve the engine performance. It used to be added as a anti-knocking agent. Okay, it used to be added as anti-knocking agent. But since the lead which comes out of these emissions along with the vehicular emissions, okay, this lead causes enormous pollution. Okay, enormous pollution, and lead is highly carcinogenic and affects the central nervous system. So government has woken up to the dangers of adding this lead. They have discontinued this addition of lead. So present day vehicular emissions are free from lead, but all other pollutants are very much there. Okay. Next cause of air pollution is deforestation. To accommodate the needs of increasing population, forests are being cleared to pave way for laying of roads, to provide shelter to human beings, increasing population, for their housing, for construction of dams, okay, many things. Increasingly forests are being cleared. Okay, deforestation leads to the loss of forest cover, plants. Okay, because of this air pollution is increasing a lot. Forests replenish atmosphere with oxygen. They act as sinks of carbon dioxide. They absorb carbon dioxide. Okay, but since the forests are being cut off, the percentage of carbon dioxide in the air is increasing. Okay, that's causing enormous air pollution. Then agricultural activities. In the agricultural activities, today we adopt intensive agriculture, that is intensive form of agriculture, which means increasing the production from the same piece of land, more and more production, more and more harvest to get, we adopt methods to get more and more harvest or yield from the same plot, because size cannot be increased, it's very much scarce. Okay, for this we adopt intensive agriculture, which means we use high doses of synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, etc. Okay, these pesticides, insecticides, etc., which are used, they find their way into the air. They are sprayed into the air on the crops, and they find their way into the air. And many of these pesticides and insecticides, they are also found in the food, as these residues of these pesticides, insecticides are found in the residues of the food also. The residues are also found in the food, causing enormous damage. And radioactive pollution. Next, radioactive substances, they emit alpha, beta and gamma radiations. Okay, alpha, beta and gamma radiations because of instability in the nucleus. Usually nuclei of heavy metals above atomic number 82, that is above lead, okay, Pb, they undergo constant disintegration, okay, because of instability, and thereby they keep on emitting radiations, alpha, beta and gamma radiations. These radiations are highly ionizing radiations, and they cause mutations in the living organisms when they are exposed. Mutation is a sudden change in the genetic material of an animal, and also they cause cancer. They also cause cancer. These rays are carcinogenic. All these problems are there because we are using these radioactive materials for the nuclear power generation, also nuclear power generation, and also for agriculture research, and in the medicine field also we are using. Use is okay, but the disposal is becoming a problem, and that's causing environmental pollution. Okay, sometimes oil is petroleum products are transported by big ships called oil liners, okay, through seas, high seas and oceans, from one part to another part of the globe, okay, different countries. Sometimes they break down, these oil liners break down, and the oil will be spilt over the water surface. When the oil is spilt over water, it floats on the water, being lighter than the water, it floats, and what it does is it forms a layer on the water surface and cuts off the contact of air with water. This leads to decrease in the dissolved oxygen in the water, which suffocates aquatic flora and fauna and leading to their death. These are some of the man-made causes. It's not exhaustive, but some of the man-made causes of air pollution. Okay, with this we'll go back. We'll come to the present lecture. Recapitulation over. Can you tell some of the air pollutants? Name. Give the name. Smoke is air pollutant. Dust is also air pollutant. Both smoke and dust, they are solid pollutants in the air. Okay, carbon dioxide is a pollutant because it causes global warming. The global mean temperature is increasing slowly but steadily because of increasing release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Nowadays it's called as carbon footprint. Okay, we'll come to that later in this chapter. Okay, CFCs means chlorofluorocarbons. These are used as refrigerants in the air conditioners as well as refrigerators. They are causing destruction of ozone layer. We'll deal with this again. Okay, sulfur dioxide. See, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, all these come from the burning of fossil fuels like coal, petroleum. Okay, coal is widely used for the thermal power generation, especially in India. 64% of electricity is thermal generation. Okay, for that enormous quantities of coal are being burnt every day, and every day throughout the day, and enormous quantities of carbon dioxide and other gases are being released into the environment. Chlorine gas is also Chlorine gas is used for sterilization of water in huge quantities. Sometimes chlorine gas also will be released into the atmosphere. And methane. See, rice cultivation, for rice cultivation, there will always be a layer of water, okay, in the rice field. This layer of water causes organic compounds, organic materials or vegetable matter present on the ground to decompose and decay, undergoes decay, producing methane gas. Okay, methane gas is highly polluting, and very powerful greenhouse gas. Okay, we'll come to these things a little later in the topic, in this chapter itself. Okay, these are the some of the air pollutants we have listed. Okay, now we'll move on to the next topic. What are the, can you differentiate the above pollutants based on the physical state? Definitely. Smoke and dust are in the solid state. All other pollutants are in the gaseous state. Okay, only smoke and dust are in the solid state. Classification of air pollutants. Yeah, presently we are coming back to our chapter, air pollutants. Air pollutants can be classified into two types. Gaseous pollutants. Okay, example carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, and aerosols. Aerosols will define later. Examples are smoke, dust, fog, etc. Okay, this is a classification of air pollutants based on their physical state. Okay, this is based on their physical state in the air. These are the pollutants present in the air. They are called as air pollutants. Okay, so they are divided into gaseous pollutants as well as aerosols. Okay, yeah, gaseous pollutants. Some of the gaseous pollutants. Let us try to see where they come from, where they are originated, how they are originated. Let us discuss. Okay, carbon dioxide comes from the combustion of fossil fuels. Okay, combustion of fossil fuels, combustion of wood, and also respiration of living organisms also release carbon dioxide. We inhale air and we utilize oxygen, and we exhale water vapor as well as carbon dioxide we leave out. Okay, all living organisms do the same thing. Next, the carbon monoxide. See, if whenever organic compounds or carbon compounds, carbon materials are burnt, if there is a lot of supply of air, each carbon atom combines with two atoms of oxygen if there is lot of supply of air. Okay, and carbon dioxide is formed. If the vegetable matter or wood or coal are burnt, okay, these fossil fuels are burnt in limited supply of air, the oxygen availability will be less, and carbon monoxide is predominantly formed. This carbon monoxide is formed because of partial combustion of fuels in automobiles, industries, okay, cigarette smoke, etc. Okay, partial combustion of carbon fuels. Complete combustion leads to formation of carbon dioxide, and incomplete combustion or partial combustion of these carbon compounds releases carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide does not have any inherent smell. Okay, even if you inhale carbon monoxide, we cannot distinguish that, we cannot feel that we are inhaling carbon monoxide, and it damages, it complexes with the blood and interferes with the oxygen carrying capacity of the hemoglobin, and it leads to suffocation and death, asphyxiation and death. Carbon monoxide, that's why it's called as silent killer. Okay. Next, oxides of sulfur, sulfur dioxide and sulfur dioxide, trioxide. These oxides of sulfur are also released from the combustion of fossil fuels like coal, diesel, petrol, and also the wood, burning of wood also. Okay, all carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen, all these substances, gases are released by burning of wood. Okay. Next, H2S, hydrogen sulfide. This can be distinguished, it smells very bad, like rotten eggs. Okay. So H2S, it has got distinguished, it's a separate, distinct and characteristic smell. It smells like rotten eggs. This is hydrogen sulfide is released by the decay of organic matter or from the sewage waste. Okay, sewage waste. The oxides of nitrogen. Oxides of nitrogen are released into the environment by the combustion of organic matter. By the combustion of oxides of nitrogen are released by the combustion of organic matter. Okay. Also by the anaerobic hydrocarbons, oxides of nitrogen by combustion of organic matter and fuels, fossil fuels, combustion of fossil fuels, combustion of twigs, wood and other vegetable matter. They all release oxides of nitrogen. Okay. Because all living bodies are made up of proteins. Proteins essentially contain nitrogen. Okay. Then hydrocarbons are also released into the atmosphere in the form of gases. These hydrocarbons are released by the anaerobic decomposition of organic matter. They are released in the automobile exhaust. They are released from the exhaust gas of in the exhaust gas of oil refineries. These hydrocarbons are released. These hydrocarbons, especially the polycyclic hydrocarbons, they cause cancer. They are highly carcinogenic in nature. Okay, and they are highly dangerous. And O3 is called as ozone. At the stratosphere level, okay, that's about 11 kilometers to 50 kilometers range 11 kilometers to 50 kilometers altitude from the sea level. Okay, that is called stratosphere. In the stratosphere, this ozone is there. Ozone layer is there. This ozone layer at the stratosphere, it protects us from the ultraviolet radiation of sun rays. This ozone layer filters ultraviolet component of incoming solar radiation and protects us. Whereas at the ground level, this ozone layer is a pollutant. Okay, it is released by the phosphate industries, aluminum industries, metallurgical processes. All these they release ozone. Okay, not phosphate industries. This ozone is released by photochemical reactions that occur in the atmosphere. Okay, photochemical reactions that occur in the atmosphere, they cause oxygen to combine to form ozone. At the ground level, ozone is a pollutant, whereas at the stratosphere, it is acting as a protective layer. Okay. Next, hydrogen fluoride. Hydrogen fluoride is released into the environment or atmosphere. It's as a gas. Okay, it is released into the atmosphere from the phosphate industries, aluminum industries, metallurgical process, etc. Next, freons. Freons, a little earlier we said CFCs. Freon is an example of CFC, chlorofluorocarbons. These are non-toxic. Okay, they are highly useful for the refrigeration and in the air conditioners. These freons are chlorofluorocarbons are released by the industries, faulty refrigerators, air conditioners, etc. Okay, then these are all the examples of gaseous pollutants and their sources. Now we will move on to aerosols. Okay, next, see, we divided, we classified air pollutants into gaseous pollutants, and all the pollutants we have discussed so far, okay, are gaseous pollutants, while The second category of air pollutants, we classified them as aerosols. These aerosols are solid and liquid particles of microscopic size, okay, 1 to 10 microns, 1 to 10 microns, okay, microscopic size, dispersed in the air, okay. Solid and liquid particles of microscopic size or colloidal dimensions dispersed in the air. They are called as aerosols. These are called as aerosols. Okay. Example is dust. Dust is an omnipresent pollutant. Omnipresent means present everywhere. Omni means everywhere. Okay. So dust is an omnipresent pollutant. Okay. It is present everywhere. It is formed naturally as a byproduct of many of our human activities, as well as many of the natural processes like weathering. Dust is formed and it keeps on floating in the air, it hangs in the air, it is of colloidal dimensions. Okay, dust will be there everywhere, almost everywhere. Okay, without there is no place we can see where dust is not present. Okay, next is next example of aerosols is smoke. Okay, smoke is the dark colored gases released into the environment by burning of fossil fuels, by like coal. Coal is the worst part of it. Coal, petroleum products like petroleum, diesel, natural gas, etc. Okay, the smoke is released into the environment. This smoke contains unburnt hydrocarbons, carbon particles, and other harmful chemical gases. It's a mixture. Okay, it keeps floating in the air. There is one remedy for this, especially from the industries, to reduce the pollution from the smoke by using Cotterell, Cotterell, Cotterell electrostatic precipitator, by using Cotterell electrostatic precipitator. Okay, Cotterell electrostatic precipitator, which removes the small particles from the smoke, and only hot gases will emerge out. Okay, we'll come to that later. We'll discuss that in a detailed fashion a little later in this chapter, in the topic of control of air pollution. Okay, next is fog. We know fog in the, especially during winters. Okay, peak winters, in the early hours you cannot see through the air because slight white layer will be formed. Okay, this is called as fog. It reduces the visibility, and okay, that is fog. Smog is also particulate aerosol. Fog is also aerosol. Small in the fog, small liquid particles are dispersed. Liquid as well as minute ice crystals are also dispersed in the air. Okay, dispersed in the air in the form of solid and liquid particles. Whereas the combination of fog with smoke, okay, the combining of fog with smoke results in what we call as smog. SMOG, smog. Okay, combination of smoke and fog is called smog. It greatly reduces the visibility. Okay, smog also reduces the visibility greatly, and it causes enormous pollution. Okay, it's very difficult to combat smog. Then natural source of air pollution, aerosols, are pollen grains. Pollen grains are the natural source of air pollutants. Pollen grains are released by plants into the environment, flowers of the plants into the environment for their propagation. Okay, but when these pollen grains are inhaled by animals or other living organisms, They cause respiratory tract irritation and allergic reactions will occur. Okay, asthma is also kind of allergic reaction. Let us see a diagram. Smoke from the industry. See the dark cloud you are seeing because it is going up because it's hot in hot condition. Its density is less than the surrounding air. It's moving up. That's first thing. Secondly, the darkness and all that, it contains lots of solid particles in it, not just gases, but lots of solid particles like unburnt hydrocarbons, carbon particles themselves, along with other chemical gases and chemicals. Okay. Next, a dust or dust storm, sandstorm. You can see brownish color spread in the air. Okay, it is taken somewhere in the desert. It shows you the sandstorm. The sand is going up. Okay, going up in the air. Sand is going up in the air. Okay. So far we have learned about air pollutants. Okay. So far we have learned about types of air pollutants. Two types we have divided them into. Okay. Gaseous pollutants as well as aerosols. These gaseous pollutants, as the name itself indicates, okay, these gaseous pollutants, as the name itself indicates, they are in the gaseous state at the room temperature. We have seen quite many examples of these gaseous pollutants, as also where they emanate from, where they come from, where they originate from. We have seen, we have discussed. Next, we have seen what aerosols are. Aerosols are solid and liquid particles of colloidal dimensions, that is 1 micron to 1000 microns. Okay, between the diameter of these particles will be very small. So they float, when they are released into the atmosphere, they disperse in the atmosphere and they will not settle down. They will not settle down because all the solid particles or liquid particles carry identical charge. For example, the carbon particles, solid particles in the smoke, all of them will carry negative charge. Since they carry the same charge, these particles repel each other. They don't come together nearby. Okay, they keep separately. Okay, so they will not settle down. They keep floating in the air or hanging in the air, as you say. Okay, that's about those. Okay. Yeah, let us take a few quiz questions, okay, to enhance our understanding. Which of these following is a secondary pollutant? See, when we discussed the pollutants, okay, we classified them into primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. The primary pollutants were the pollutants, okay, which they are the pollutants which emanated, which originated from, which are formed from the identifiable sources. For example, if you have carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide coming, they come from the burning of fossil fuels like coal or petroleum products, petrol or diesel. You know where they are coming from, okay? Like carbon dioxides of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, okay? All these pollutants, you know directly where they are coming from, where they originated from, where are they originated from, or where are they coming from, okay? But these primary pollutants, once they are released into the atmosphere, they remain in the same state in the way they are released. They will not change their form. They will remain in the same form, okay, as they are released into the atmosphere. So two things. Primary pollutants, you know where they are coming from exactly. You can identify the source where they are coming from. Secondly, these pollutants will remain in the same form as they are released. In whichever form they are released, they will remain in the same form. They will not change the form usually. Whereas in the case of secondary pollutants, okay, based on origin we divided, okay, based on how they are formed, where they are originated, the pollutants, where they are originated, we divided into natural and primary and secondary pollutants. So, in the case of primary pollutants, as you mentioned just now, we know where they are coming from and they remain as such in the environment once they are released. Whereas the secondary with the secondary pollutants, you will not know directly where they are released from. They are actually not released from any identifiable source. What happens is the primary pollutants which are released into the environment, sometimes they react with the environmental constituents or other pollutants and transform themselves into a different kind of substance that is called as secondary pollutants. So these are derived from the primary pollutants. So these pollutants are also called as derived pollutants. They are also called as derived pollutants. So among these, BHC is primary pollutant. Gemaxin we call this as commonly. Okay, DDT is primary pollutant. We know where they are coming from. Carbon dioxide is also primary pollutant. Whereas peroxyacetyl nitrate, the C alternative, we don't know where it is coming from. Okay, where it is coming from. So this pan is the secondary pollutant. Okay. Next, which of the following is a non-biodegradable pollutant? Organic matter is biodegradable. All life forms, all the bodies of life forms, they are also biodegradable. Okay. All agricultural waste, they are biodegradable. Sewage is also biodegradable. It's made up of mostly organic compounds. Okay. Cow dung is also biodegradable. It decomposes. Sewage decomposes. Agricultural waste decomposes. Cow dung decomposes. So all substances which are decomposed by microorganisms are called as biodegradable. Whereas plastics will not undergo degradation. They are non-biodegradable. Once a plastic article is formed, made, it remains as such in the environment for thousands of years. Okay, it will without any change. So they are highly polluting. These plastics are highly polluting in the environment. They are causing enormous pollution. This pollution is because of their non-biodegradability. Okay, a substance which is biodegradable again becomes after degradation it becomes part of nature. Again it will be used by nature, okay, for building other things. Whereas a non-biodegradable like our plastics, they cause enormous environmental pollution. The answer is C here. Okay, which of the following is a aerosol? Carbon dioxide is a gaseous pollutant. Methane, CH4, it is also a gaseous pollutant. Dust is, freons are also gaseous pollutants. They are also called as chlorofluorocarbons. So carbon dioxide, A bit, B bit freons, C bit methane, all of these are examples of gaseous pollutants. Whereas dust is an aerosol. It contains microscopic or colloidal particles, okay, dispersed in the air, solid particles dispersed in the air. So dust is called as aerosol. Okay, which of the following causes air pollution? Industrial effluent. Industrial emissions are gaseous pollutants, whereas industrial effluent refers to the liquid waste generated or discharged by an industry. So it's not, it doesn't cause air pollution, it causes water pollution. Likewise, domestic sewage. Domestic sewage is also liquid form, it causes water pollution but not air pollution. CFCs, these are fluorocarbons, which are gaseous in nature. They are released into the nature, air, and they go to the stratosphere level and destroy the stratosphere. So the CFCs or chlorofluorocarbons are they cause air pollution. Okay. The frequently asked questions from this chapter are: what is an aerosol? Give examples. Aerosols are, how do you define? They are solid and liquid particles. They are solid and liquid particles of a microscopic dimension, which are dispersed in the air. Examples: dust, smoke. Okay. Classify air pollutants. Air pollutants are divided into gaseous pollutants and aerosols. Gaseous pollutants: carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, oxides of sulfur. They are examples. For aerosols, again you have dust and smoke. With this, we conclude our lecture. Thank you.